Hello, good evening and welcome to Hotedition on 3FM 92.7. It is live from our studio here at Adisanwe Kanda in Accra. Coming up this evening, 3 prominent Ghanaians sue political parties, the Attorney General and the Electoral Commission over what they term as unconstitutional delegates voting system. We would explore what this exactly means. Also coming up, Minority Caucus takes on government over credit for the recent economic gains as they provide a one-year assessment of the John Mahama administration. Plus, the first batch of 130 nurses, midwives and mental health practitioners depart Ghana for Antigua and Barbuda on a 3-day contract under government's labor exchange program. Details of all of these and more coming up for the next 1 hour, including business and sports. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Before that, let's bring you the news summaries with Nurah Mohammed. Hello, Nurah.
Hello, Martin. Good evening. First, in the summaries, the minority has questioned the purpose and timing of the ongoing engagements by Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny to key state institutions, describing it as a thank you tour for his appointment. They have asked the president to resist the temptation to run a third term while vowing to block speedy passage of bills in the upcoming sitting of Parliament. Speaking at a press conference, Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Markin further predicted that the National Democratic Congress is likely to have a messy flag-bearer race because leading figures are already crisscrossing the country in campaign tours. He says unfolding issues could cause a massive shake-up in the NDC and leave cracks. Afenyo-Markin wants the NDC to focus on what lies ahead of them and to stop commentaries on the MPP's January 31st primary. In other news, Professor Okoye has asked the Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Akudzeto-Ablakwa to be mindful of his utterances and learn from those ahead of him. Mr. Ablakwa's critics claim that his utterances have angered the U.S. to implement negative policies against Ghana. To the courts now, and drama unfolded at the corridors of the Accra High Court when officials of the Narcotics Control Commission suspended the joy of alleged fraud and romance scam suspect Abu Treka by rearresting him shortly after the courts discharged him. Early on Monday, January 26, the Gbese District Court discharged Abu Treka and 2 alleged accomplices, Lord Ishen and Bernard Edu, after the state withdrew the charges against them. Abu Treka is facing romance fraud allegations for which the United States of America has submitted a request to the Ghanaian authorities for his extradition. At the High Court, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sremsai informed the court that the prosecution had filed a notice of withdrawal against Abu Treka, Lord Ishen and Bernard Edu, and hence noted that the applications by the applicants had become moot. Lawyers of Abu Treka and Bernard Edu had filed separate applications to quash the proceedings before the Gbese District Court and their discharge. Oliver Barker-Vomawo, leading the lawyers for Abu Treka, however, told the court that despite the prosecution withdrawing the charges against his client, he was still in detention. Responding to the statements, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Sremsai intimated that steps would be taken for his discharge. After hearing both counsel, the presiding judge struck out the application, holding that the discharge of the applicant meant the certiorari application had become moot. Abu Treka was, however, rearrested by officials of the Narcotics Control Commission on the corridors of the High Court after proceedings ended. Now, the Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny has emphasized the need to protect judicial staff from attacks and ensure security for court premises and judicial offices. During a visit to the Ghana Police Service in Accra, the Chief Justice discussed ways to enhance collaboration between the judiciary and the police. And that will be all for the summaries. Over to you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Nurah. And let's settle for the details of our stories now. We are starting from issues regarding the minority and their thoughts on how the one-year administration of President John Dramani Mahama has been over the last year. And the Minority Caucus in Parliament has been presenting their own assessment of the one-year administration of John Dramani Mahama's administration, calling for answers on the $214 million losses under the Gold for Reserve program. Leader of the minority caucus, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, believes that the current economic gains are due to the IMF program and the windfall. The minority, among other issues, during their briefing, questioned the purpose and timing of the ongoing engagements by the Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Boni to key state institutions, describing it as a thank you tour for his appointment, while asking the president to resist the temptation to run a third term, vowing to block the speedy passage of bills in the upcoming sitting of Parliament. The minority is also vowing to scrutinize government policies and block the rushed passage of bills under the certificate of urgency. Let's listen to the minority leader, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, who spoke earlier.
It's NDC hypocrisy for you. They also came to Parliament in the dead of night to introduce the Doomsaw levy, which upon our scrutiny, they decided to suspend it. But again, in the dead of night, they started the implementation. So Ghanaians are being burdened with all these levies, yet they claim that they are a caring government. Let me repeat that the current stabilization rests heavily on the tight IMF conditions. And like I said, they've imposed new levies. Deep structural weakness, from inefficiencies in the energy sector to bottlenecks in agriculture, remain largely untouched. This is not transformation. It is a postponement of crisis wrapped in a polished statement. So for agriculture, let me ask our respected colleague, Eric Opoku. He is a very intelligent parliamentarian. I don't doubt his understanding of the agro sector. But talk is cheap. It is not about his talking. Today I want to ask my respected colleague, Honorable Eric Opoku, the minister responsible for agriculture, to hold a press conference and tell Ghanaians the real policies that have been introduced to help promote agriculture. There's none. In the fishery sector, the least said about them, the better. So really, this government talks so much in opposition, but in government, there is nothing they've done in the agro and the fisheries sectors to promote growth, and we see it in that field. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we submit further that this government has failed the Ghanaian people in the most basic duty of a modern state, to move its citizens safely and decently from one part of their own country to another. Please, tell your people that you are not interested at all. They shouldn't lead you into temptation. And by the way, it is not possible. Also, we have heard that certain people have filed certain processes at the court. We also have this to tell my Lord Bafo-Boni. We know that this job was handed to you on a silver platter. We know that you have your masters to please. But my Lord Bafo-Boni, in the end, when history is being written, it will be your name. And to our judges at the Supreme Court, Ghanaians are watching how you determine the matters that are coming before you.
Right. So that is Alexander Apenyo-Markin, and he's been touching on a number of other issues. We'll bring that to you in a moment. But for now, though, let's speak to Thomas Wolanyo Chakpo, who is the Member of Parliament for Hohoi constituency and is also a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Mr. Chakpo, good evening, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Martin.
The minority has actually painted a totally different picture from what the masses are saying regarding Ghana's current economic transformation. They say that had they not gone to the IMF to set up the current regiment which is benefiting the government, this current administration wouldn't have been as successful as it is touting to be. What is your reaction to that?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners and then your viewers. I'm happy you said what the minority leader and his people spoke about this afternoon is different from what the masses are saying, what the people who have the power to put us where we are are saying, and this is a fact that no one can run away from. I know because of two things that the minority leader and those who stood with him, because I know not all of them, not all those in the minority are happy with what the minority leader said today. It's because of the confusion in their party that they have been insulted all over. That's the main reason why they are making the press conference to divert the traffic that is on them. Two, because of the President Mahama's goodwill that is eroding the NPP. These are the two things that are the two reasons. Because they met at the Alisa Hotel recently and they chastised him. We heard about it. The leadership of the party chastised him, and because also Ghanaians, Parliament is not in session, he wants his voice to be heard. My brother, talking about going to IMF, why did they go to IMF? Why is it that all the good plans that they had, they couldn't, all those plans couldn't translate? Rather, putting inflation in on a ladder of 23.8% as at 2024, when we had the election. Inflation was 23%. Interest rate 27%, growth rate 5.7%. All these negative indicators, macroeconomic indicators, happen under their watch. Why is it that the turnaround did not happen when they were in charge? You see, these things you can't deceive Ghanaians with these lies again. That's why I said I'm happy to say the masses disagree with their stand. When we know in this country, 2024, when we took over from them, an economy that was at a junk status, that no country was ready to even sit with us to negotiate the loans. It was in this country. But in 2020, my brother, 2020, when they took over 2021, you remember what happened? Operator went for 2.2 billion loan. 2.2 billion when they took over from us and insulted us that the economy was not good. They were able to go for 2.2 billion. That was in 2020 when Mahama handed over this country to them. When they handed it over to us, we were at a junk status. But today, look at it. S&P has rated us B+, B-. It is a stable outlook. Fitch, B-. Moody, CAA. These are indicators, not Ghanaians sitting down or not NBC-induced economists. So no, as they will say, they are international bodies that they themselves have the trust and the belief in. These are the ratings they are giving us. So I don't know which part of Ghana they are. Look, seriously, in Ghana here, what you hear is macro economic indicators, which does not translate into the macro economy. Today, the macro economic indicators, which has moved inflation from 23 to 5.4%, which has moved interest rates from 27 to 60%, has translated. That's why the ordinary man on the street will tell you that things are moving on well. Today, didn't they buy fuel before they went for that press conference? How much were we buying fuel? 27 cedis per liter. We all bought fuel 27 cedis per liter. Today, when I'm going to Volta Region, my brother, my car that I use to fuel 1,600, I fuel is 800 Ghana cedis. That is what we are talking about. It's not what is on paper. It is what has translated into the lives of the people. Food prices. Today, because of the investment, the last part of his
submission
audio that you played, the agri sector. Today, because of the investment that we did within a year, myself, I'm a farmer. I did some farming, and go and look at maize in Huawei for the first time. It's because of the investment that we have made. They took all those money, billions of dollars. What investment did they do with it? Okay. They shared it among themselves. And so Mr. That's why we are saying fuel prices, that's a macro, micro, food prices, that's a micro, and the dollar rate.
Talking about the dollar rate, it was one of the issues he touched on, saying, for instance, that the $214 million loss due to the gold purchase or gold for reserve program is a major concern that the government needs to work on. How do you respond to that?
I think that report that always the backing they normally quote from is the IMF. IMF has come to clarify that it's not about what MPP is talking about. You see, they have made a deliberate stand on gold board. That's why during the passage of the law, they refused the bill. They refused to take part. They walked away. I was in Parliament that night. They walked away because they know the prospect or the game that gold boards were going to change in our economy. Do you know why? Because they had collapsed our only survival line, which is the cocoa board. They have collapsed everything they have given out, and the only thing that will save the economy was a gold board. So now that gold board is performing, they have consistent and deliberate policy of attacking the credibility of gold board. But my brother, the game changer of this economy, everybody knows. IMF, which is that independent body, has even said it, that the game changer is gold board. So no matter how you wash gold board black, no matter how you try to paint it black, it is performing. Look, they had their own policy that's good for oil. The more they pump our money in the good for oil, the more the dollar gains strength. They were pumping those monies into the system, and the dollar was 17 cedis. I bought dollar 17 cedis. Today, dollar is 9 cedis, 10 cedis. This is the case we are talking about, brother. So if they are talking about the IMF making the gains, why is that the IMF did not make the gains when they were in power? My brother, three things: gold board, body change. Two, fiscal discipline. Every government that has a plan or a system that brings discipline into the economy survives. Today, look at the ministries. Do you know the amount we spend on one ministry? Today, we have 60 ministers.
Let's also talk on, although the masses seem to be applauding the government for its management of the economy, it doesn't mean that it is all rosy. And so some of the concerns the minority are raising, you may also agree in part. For instance, the $214 million loss is a concern the Gold Board CEO, Sami Jemfe himself, came out to try and clarify. And the Bank of Ghana governor has also spoken on it, saying that it is a concern they are working around to see how they can reduce that, which they term operational cost. But the minority has a different opinion on it. So some of that and other issues may not have worked out entirely well for the government. What are the key areas you think this government needs to improve on to at least change the narrative of the minority?
My brother, the minority, listening to what they addressed today, they didn't address anything. Absolutely nothing. They just wanted to talk because people are praising this particular government. They are talking about the $200 plus million. Every day they change goalposts. The person who raised the issue, my brother, it's not the minority who raised it. It was Kojo Oponkruma who raised it. He came back on your sister station to say that he did not say that Gold Board has run at a loss. And I'm happy you said, yes, majority of Ghanaians are praising this particular government. It's the people who are the deciders. It's the people who are feeling it. If it is wrong, it's the people who will say it. It's not the minority. My brother, it's mischief they are playing. Allow the people to talk. Look, this is the first time. This is the first time we are allowing the people, all of us who have put us there. This is the first time we are allowing them to judge. If it is not good, it's the people who say it's not about you and I. Martin, it's not about you and one I know who say it. It's about the masses that you are talking about. It's not about Afenyo Martin. It's not about John Mahama. No, it's the masses. How are they feeling? It's not about the jargons. It's not about what we write. It's not about what we discuss here. It's about what they feel. It's about when they go to the market, how prices, how a bag of rice was over 700 cedis, and now they are buying it 300 cedis. That is what we are talking about. Okay. So with the losses they are talking about, those who raised it have backtracked. He did not understand it. Ojo Oponkruma came. He is a member of the economic committee.
Yes.
Ojo Oponkruma, a member of the economic committee. He raised the issue and came back and said that was not what he said. He said he did not say that Gold Board has. Yes, they may be concerned. We are not saying we are perfect within this 1 year, my brother. Nobody is saying. The finance minister has said it President John Mahama has said it. We are not perfect. This is just 1 year. And you know something? Every government is 1 year. And every government's 1 year in office is full of challenges. Full of challenges. But we have been able to overcome those challenges with the prudent economic steps that we have taken.
Okay.
That is what we are talking about. So they should rather side with the masses that is you are talking about, the masses that are listening to us, and at least find a way to advise the government well, not to be criticizing us negatively while things are going on well. Okay. That's why I said they bought fuel before they went to Parliament to hold a press conference. How much did they buy it? How much were they buying it? They changed dollars. He's a businessman. How much did he change the dollar today? How much did he change it previously?
Okay.
These
so
are the
clearly,
basic questions
there are some
that we should be asking.
Yeah, that we need to be paying attention to. We would have to leave it here, and thank you that you made time to speak to us. Since you said you're a farmer, Mayo, a blue boy, Mayo, no matter what this year.
A blue lassie, a blue yellow corn, me for yellow corn, le hokwe. In fact, we are never over young man now about one maybe.
We've been speaking to Walanyo Chakpo, who is the member of parliament for the Hohoe constituency, and also a member of the finance committee in Ghana's parliament, trying to give their side of the conversation regarding the economy of the Ghanaian individual, how your personal economy is feeling like and how the Ghanaian economy is feeling like. And clearly it stands to reason that some positives have actually been achieved, although the minority sees otherwise. We'll see what the coming days look like. We'll try and get a governance perspective to this conversation and the concerns raised by the minority as well in a moment. But let's listen again to Alexander Penyomarkin when he touched on the issue of the Chief Justice. Now, he says that the current Chief Justice has been visiting a number of ministries and individuals whom he calls leading figures, and he says the unfolding issues could cause a massive shakeup in the NDC, or he says that the round that the Chief Justice is embarking on is more or less a thank you tour that the Chief Justice is doing, just to say thank you to government and the people that appointed him. This is Apenyomarkin speaking.
And by the way, we have seen that my Lord Bafuboni and his management are all over at the various ministries, including Jubilee. Is he on a thank you tour? Is my Lord Bafuboni on a thank you tour, thanking the government for appointing him as a Chief Justice? And we hear today he is coming to Parliament. We, the minority, don't see him as a tolerant head of the judiciary, because members of the minority came under attack when we criticized the processes leading to his nomination. We will therefore not be part of his thank you tour. If he wants to engage us, our offices are open. He should come and engage us, and we'll let him know things that we find wrong.
And we all know that on the 31st of January 2026, which is about 6 or so days from now, the minority is going for, the NPP that is, will be headed to the polls to elect a flag bearer, and your election command center will update you on that. However, whereas a lot of attention is around who becomes the NPP's next leader, the minority leader, Alexander Penyomarkin, is predicting that it would even be more chaotic for the NDC when they decide to elect their flag bearer. And he says that this is likely to lead to a massive shakeup in the NDC and leave cracks within the rank and file of the party. Well, let's listen to exactly what he has to say regarding that. Then we'll subject all of this to some governance analysis. Right, we do not seem to have that insert for you about what the minority said regarding the NDC's preparation later in the next few years, as they will be electing who will replace John Mahama as the leader of the party and a flag bearer going forward. But let's speak to Dr. Jonathan Asiedu-Dartey, who has joined us on the line. Doc, good evening to you. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, Martin. I'm struggling to hear you.
Okay, I'll speak up and hopefully the line is clear. A number of things have come up from the minority side. They are saying, for instance, that the Ghanaian economy has not gained as much attention and profit as many are saying, and that they have seen a number of loopholes they want the government to work on, including this $214 million loss to the gold board. Also, they say that the Chief Justice, amongst other things, is going around thanking people for being appointed. And they have also thrown spokes or projected that the NDC will suffer when they are preparing for their flag bearer race. What does all this mean to you? Is it that the minority is seeing things totally different from what the majority are seeing?
You know, Martin, let me say good evening to you and to your listeners. I guess this is the first time I'm talking to you after the new year.
Yes.
The point is that, yes, if you are a minority, you are in opposition, I guess you have to elevate the debate and the argument and things that you may have to speak about in terms of offering constructive criticism. I think that it is quite surprising that this 214 million thing is still an issue on the banner of the opposition. The other part, I mean, if you are saying that the Chief Justice that you oppose vehemently just because of the relationship that you have with the former Chief Justice, you know, is clouding, is beclouding his proper sense of judgment, you know, with the issue. This is the first time the person has become the Chief Justice, and he's decided to go around at least to fraternize and to say a word or two. How does this become a thank you tour? I mean, the level of cynicism in his argument is like a toddler, just so to say the least, because it's like he doesn't have anything else to say, something constructive. How can it happen that the economic indicators that the previous government left and what we have witnessed today, that everybody neutral, not aligned, including some MPP persons, speak to how the economy has been managed? You make it sound as if we were not in Ghana. Some of us were not in Ghana. My goodness. Is this how the opposition is going to be like? Then I think that they will really struggle in opposition, to be frank with you. The issue that he speaks about, you know, the NDC is going to have this West, well, I don't want to think that it is just merely an evil wish on your opponent, just because you find yourself in such quagmire. But I think that it's a lesson that ought to be taken seriously. Or it's a message that ought to be taken seriously by the NDC. Because some of the things that we have been hearing on the ground, I mean, you know, leave much to be desired. And probably somebody, others are joking position here and there. And some of us are of the view that if they do not proceed with care, you know, it will not be anything different from the MPP. And it could even be worse because you are in government. And so that is something, that is a lesson or a message that, you know, if Mr. Funyamakin is talking about from, you know, a sincere, you know, heart, then they'll have to take that particular issue on board. But that aside, I have already said that the reason why the MPP can only elect Dr. Bawumia are two main reasons. One, the NDC economy being worse than what they inherited from the MPP. And secondly, how they handle the transition from Mr. Mahama to the next leader. If these two things remain constant as we are seeing, and the transition is done with utmost finesse, no matter the candidate that the MPP will have, if it is at Bawumia, they will still struggle in 2028. Just mark it on the wall.
Now, the other issues they raise, I mean, like you've touched on a number of them, but does this mean that everything is going as planned for the NDC? Like everything is okay? There aren't any teething challenges that they need to start paying attention to try and correct now that we've started a new year?
Well, I wouldn't see it as correction. the point is that it appears that because of some political ambition of, I don't want to mention names now, they seem to be undermining other ministries or other ministries. And that is something that the president must be interested in. Because the point ought to be made that you want to leave a legacy. Internally, because others have presidential ambition, they seem to be undermining others whom they feel they are equally a threat. And I think that is a challenge the president must not lose sight of. Secondly, I am aware that the grassroots appear despondent. In terms of general governance, the president and his team, they've done creditably well. But others are too much in a hurry, they are so much in a hurry, they want to secure themselves jobs here and there. It appears those at the helm of affairs, some do not pick the calls of these grassroots who work so hard to send them there. Maybe the president will have reason to address issues of that nature. But if it is the national pie that you have all shown interest in, I think that nobody can say that the president has issues, because if inflation was 23.8, today it is 5.4. What more will I demand from the president? If the dollar to the city was somewhere 16, 17, 15, and today is around 10, what else should I demand from the president? Because this will have to trickle down to everybody else. If food inflation was over 27%, and today through the Agriculture Ministry or the minister, it is 4.9, what else should I demand from the president? If debt to GDP ratio has come down as 45 from 61 or 69 thereabout, I think that the finances are done creditably well.
Right.
If today we are seeing our energy being sustainable, they have been able to pay legacy debt, for which reason our light is constantly on. I think these are the things that benefit the generality of the populace. But there are other issues that are germane as far as the party is concerned. And I think that these are some of the issues and challenges that I've mentioned. How a particular ministry, that is quite powerful, undermining, virtually not releasing, Mr. Afenyo-Markin spoke about this last year, where he cautioned the ministers, in Parliament that they have not gotten releases, and yet they've not been able to talk about that. Of course, they don't want to rock the boat, but I think that the president ought to be interested. If it's the legacy that he wants to leave, right, we'll have to see the light of day at the quicksand pace that is always envisaged. Then he must equally be interested in things of that nature.
Right. And finally, is it that the minority is just opposing or trying to do what their name is suggesting, which is the opposition, or they have genuine concerns somewhat? There's, because of this large goodwill that the current administration is enjoying, it looks as though the slightest thing the minority raises, people dismiss it. Could it be because of where we are coming from as a people, what we experienced under the NPP, or we are just closing a blind eye to clear warning signals that the minority is raising, or clearly there aren't any concerns at all, the minority is just crying wolf?
Well, there can never be a government that is prove that is perfect. There can never be anything like that. I've already outlined some of the issues, that affect the current government, that could easily undermine the goodwill that Ghanaians are enjoying, or they are enjoying from Ghanaians, in generality. But some of the issues the minority, is raising, they're just below belt. This is not constructive criticism. This is not responsible, opposition. To say the least, it is a reckless opposition. It's like they are looking for issues where none exist. The Chief Justice going around saying that he's on a thank you, that is very cynical. And to say the least, is just an abuse of opposition. You understand?
Right.
And that is what I can say about things of that nature. But the advice that he gave with respect to people wanting to become president, for which reason the issues in NPP could be worse in NDC. I think that is an advice that the NDC should take that in all sincerity.
All right. Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, thank you so much for your time this evening. And he is a political analyst and sharing his thoughts on the minorities press conference where they are saying that they were giving their own version of the 1-year tenure of John Dramani Mahama, who is the current president. He's formed his government. They have a 4-year term. 1 year is gone. We have started a second year in the 4 years. And the minority, after a review of the 1 year that is gone, they believe that the NDC has not done as much. In fact, the benefit the NDC is enjoying in terms of the economic growth is as a result of the IMF program that they entered into, or their government entered into. So the NDC is just enjoying from the benefits of that IMF program. But I've seen some of you sending us messages and asking, why did they have to go to the IMF in the first place if they were prudent managers of the economy? Well, that's a fair question. We can put that to Alexander Penyomarkin when we do raise them, or when we do get them in a conversation later. And they also raised concerns about the NDC's flag bearer race, which is in the next few years. They say it's likely to be as hectic and chaotic if nothing is done in the interim to forestall that. And talking about flag bearer races, we know that the NPP in the next few days, the 31st of January, which is just about 6 days, I should say, from now, they will be electing 1 out of 5 individuals. Now, a former Speaker of Parliament and founding member of the New Patriotic Party, Professor Mike Okoye, says committees responsible for disciplining individuals who flout party regulations are already inviting individuals. This comes days after an intense exchange of words among the flag-bearer aspirants and their supporters ahead of the NPP's presidential primary this weekend. Professor Mike Okoye spoke in an interview with Beatrice Edu.
I mean, this throwing of jabs, we've even heard the spokespersons exchange words on social media.
These difficulties, they do arise. If you want us to go into history, go and ask Obeda Samoa what happened to him at an NDC Congress. Go and ask Isiem what also happened to her. Dr. Kwesi is gone. But go, if he were here, you will see how he had to run for his life at an NDC Congress. But you see, many of them come with the supporters. And sometimes they may even say things that the candidate does not really approve of. But nevertheless, the committees that are responsible for discipline, I tell you, they are busy calling people their attention to what is not acceptable, and also the Council of Elders using their advisory capacities as well on these matters.
Meanwhile, Professor Mike Okoye says that the NPP will never release the report of the committee he chaired on why the NPP lost power in 2024. He said no political party does that, and it won't start with the NPP.
Those are candidates early, in fact, so that we shall have someone who now we as a committee did not make copies available to certain personalities in the party. But it was not meant so to be. That is why we reported to the National Council of the party, the highest decision body outside conference. When we report to them, we have washed our hands of it. And they've started implementing some areas, and they are going to implement more in due course, which we quietly are observing. Nobody ever publishes such reports. They are not meant for the public. The NDC never has. The MPP will not do so. Why? Because those who commission, you will report to them, and they use aspects as they think fit to improve upon situations.
And that is Professor Mike Okoye, who is a former Speaker of Ghana's Parliament and also a founding member of the New Patriotic Party. This is still 3FM 92.7. You're listening to Hotedition. It is live from our studio here at Desawe Kanda in Accra. Let's stay on issues of politics because two prominent figures of the New Patriotic Party, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng and Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo, together with a National Democratic Congress stalwart, Dr. Christine Amoako-Nnuama, have invoked the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to challenge the internal voting structures of Ghana's two major political parties. The plaintiffs, through their counsel, Oliver Baka-Vomawo, are seeking a true and proper interpretation of the 1992 Constitution regarding how political parties elect their presidential and parliamentary candidates. In the suit, which has been cited by 3FM, they talk, among other things, some of the key issues they raise include the fact that electing candidates is a core element of a party's internal organization under Article 55(5) of the Constitution. They are saying also that the party structures must ensure equal political participation and equal voting rights for all its members. And if you're watching us or following us on YouTube and on Facebook, you'd see the individuals I'm talking about, the two NPP officials and a former known leadership member of the NDC. They are making they've sent the voting structures or the structures of how political parties should be electing its membership or leadership to the Supreme Court for a proper interpretation. And amongst the reliefs being sought, they are asking for democratic principles that require meaningful and broad participation, accountability of leadership, and substantially equal and direct voting rights. One man, one vote, as many of you would know it. And so these are part of the key issues that they have raised regarding why they believe the Supreme Court must interpret the structures that govern political parties in the country. They have also added that delegate-based electoral college and extraordinary constituency delegates conference, these systems declare unconstitutional, null and void. They are praying the Supreme Court to declare delegates-based electoral college, the electoral college that the two parties currently use, and the extraordinary constituency delegates conference. They say they want the Supreme Court to declare those as null and void. And then the entrenchment of democratic principles which require meaningful and broad participation, accountability of leadership, and substantially equal direct voting rights. So those are the key issues that the two individuals plus one, so three in all, are seeking the Supreme Court to help them interpret. If you go to our website, 3news.com, you get a better appreciation of the writ which they have sent to the court, which we have a copy of. We also know that Oliver Baka-Vomawo is their lawyer, and he is leading this case on their behalf. So it is one that we are going to be watching keenly, also because as your election command center, if there are proposals for any major changes to our voting system or our voting pattern, or the right we have as individuals to vote are being questioned or reviewed, we need to take interest right from the onset so we get to be in the know whenever some of these specific details or changes are adopted. And talking about elections, we know that it's not only the NPP that is busily preparing for their January 31 primary. The National Democratic Congress has also started fervent work to ensure that they get a good replacement for the Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso East constituency who passed away a few weeks ago. We know that the NDC in the Ayawaso East parliamentary primary is shaping up, likely to be quite a keen contest between experience and fresh ambition, with 6 aspirants officially entering the race. Nomination forms have also been picked. The field is set, and the internal contest to lead the party into the March 3 by-election is gaining momentum. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan has been engaging one of the new faces in the constituency primary and has put this report together.
6 aspirants, some familiar faces and others relatively new, have picked nomination forms to contest the NDC Ayawaso East parliamentary primaries. One of the new faces in the race is Alhaji Abdul Salam Muhammad Daru. Though he may be perceived by some as a newcomer to active frontline politics, Darrow insists he is no stranger to the Ayawaso East constituency. He says his decision to contest is driven by a deep sense of duty and a call to serve the people.
The motivation is about service. The young people within the community feel this is the time for the community to be led by a young person. There is a certain realization among the young people that young people must lead. That is what is new. And this is a new energy, a new paradigm, a new direction.
Darrow maintains that over the years, he has contributed his quota to the development of the constituency and believes those efforts place him in a strong position ahead of the primaries. Touching on his vision for Ayawaso East, Alhaji Abdul Salam Mohammed says his focus will be on human resources and capacity development, improved infrastructure, healthcare delivery, education, amongst others. He adds that his ambition is to build on the legacy of the late Member of Parliament, Ahmed Nasir Toure, while responding to the pressing needs of the constituency.
We're also looking at continuity of the works of the late Honorable in as much as somebody who can appeal to the other groupings and all of that. My really focus and will continue to be around building the human resource, giving them opportunities, building capacity. Beyond that is health. We have a lot of drug addiction issues. I will want to ensure that we will have a rehabilitation center in the middle of Nima. The Nima market is key. We need to ensure that the market is given facelift. So beyond that is also infrastructure.
As the March 3 by-election draws closer, it remains to be seen whether delegates in the Ayawaso East constituency will hand him the nod to represent the party on the ticket of the NDC.
And that report was put together by my colleague Noble Crosbyan, and clearly your election command center will keep tabs on all these developments and keep you in the loop as well as and when they unfold. Let's shift our attention to some other stories now. Ghana has officially extended the stay of its troops that were deployed to Jamaica to support post-disaster reconstruction beyond the initial 90-day period, paying a courtesy call on Jamaica's Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness. A Ghanaian delegation led by the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Deputy Defense Minister, announced that President Mahama has approved an additional 30 days for the troops to remain in the country. The visit to Jamaica forms part of an inspection tour to assess the activities of Ghanaian troops that were deployed there to assist the people in Jamaica. The visit to Jamaica forms part of an inspection tour to assess the activities of Ghanaian troops deployed to assist in rebuilding affected communities following Hurricane Melissa. Following a normal request by Jamaica's Minister of Foreign Affairs for an extension of the deployment, Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa confirmed that President Mahama had granted approval for the troops to stay for a further 30 days to complete ongoing reconstruction work. Let's listen in to what the President's representative, that's the Foreign Affairs Minister, had been saying.
Your heroic exploits here in Jamaica will always be etched in the annals of Ghana-Jamaica solidarity. And President Mahama wants you to know that as Commander-in-Chief, he will always be proud of this moment. And he will make sure that you are befittingly rewarded when you return to Ghana. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, when this deployment was discussed, we anticipated that it would be a 1-month deployment, not to go beyond 30 days. But here we are. We have gone beyond those 30 days. We have done 6 weeks already. And from all indications, you are not in a hurry to leave. And I asked my counterpart, the distinguished Foreign Minister of Jamaica, are you comfortable with the February 15th proposed exit? And she tells me, we have to discuss further. You are welcome to stay beyond the 15th of February. So, judging from her body language and the way she's not in a hurry to dispatch you, you may just want to stop looking at that 15th February calendar. I will not be surprised at all if there is another extension of the extension. And it really demonstrates that we are family and we are all at home, and we really do not want to part ways. That is a very happy story.
And that's Foreign Affairs Minister Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, who led Ghana's team to go and check up on the soldiers who were deployed to Jamaica to assist in development or reconstruction work in Jamaica after hurricane caused quite a havoc there. And talking about Ghanaians who are assisting other people around the world, the first batch of 130 nurses, midwives, and mental health practitioners have departed Accra for Antigua and Barbuda on a 3-year contract to beef up its health sector under the Ghana Labour Exchange Program. Earlier, the government of Antigua and Barbuda robustly defended its decision to recruit nurses from Ghana, describing the move as a necessary intervention to address persistent staffing shortage and burnout within the country's healthcare system. Ghana is actively implementing a government-led system to ensure a government-led nurse export strategy to address high unemployment among trained nurses and generate foreign revenue. The program is driven by a surplus of trained nurses, with roughly 74,000 qualified nurses unemployed and projections reaching 180,000 nurses by 2028. Let's listen to the Health Minister, Kwabena Mintah Kando, who implored nurses to work with diligence and professionalism as they are carrying the flag of Ghana in all their endeavors.
Today we are here to say goodbye to you, but we'll be following your progress with keen interest. And as you are going, you must be reminded of the fact that you are carrying the flag of Ghana. And therefore, we wish that you will go and work with diligence and professionalism. Those of you who are at home watching us, I'm very hopeful that it will get to your turn. Usually, the debate has been the fact that we do not have health workers in our various health facilities, but we are exporting, health workers. That is not it. The availability of health professionals in this country is not a problem. As I've already indicated, we have excess. We have inherited about 80,000 health professionals. But as you all know, we have a country to govern, and at every point in time, our budget can absorb a certain proportion of them. And so as government is looking at absorbing some internally in-country in our various health facilities, we are also exploring other avenues outside the country. I thank you.
And that is Kwabena Mintah Kando, Ghana's health minister. And as we go on to the courts now, drama unfolded at the corridors of the Accra High Court when officials of the Narcotics Control Commission suspended the joy of alleged fraud and romance scam suspect Abu Trika by rearresting him shortly after the court discharged him. Frederick Kumi and 2 others had pleaded not guilty to charges of defrauding by false pretense and money laundering. Lord Eduasare is a man who was in court and has come through with this report. Unfortunately, we do not seem to have that report for you from the court, but that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you so much for listening and watching. My name is Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Do have a pleasant evening.